Yes. All right. Well, good morning and welcome to Brekkie with the Guy Who Sews. Today is Saturday, the 23rd of September, and it's a very rainy here in coastal Virginia. But I brought along my very good friend, Becca from Sew Becca, and we're going to have a lot of fun this morning sewing our Pandas in Sweaters pattern by Elizabeth Hartman. Don't look at me like that. It's going to be fun. You got to enjoy the process. Once you get, it's one of those things that once you get started, you really will enjoy it. So for anyone that doesn't know Becca, do you want to just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your wonderful small channel, as you like to call
it? I'm sorry. So when you did that creator like trunk show last year, and I was like, I have a small channel, because I was thinking about like comparing, like if I were to compare myself to another, like a big YouTuber, right? Tiffany has more subscribers than I do. The sewing channel, Tracy, who I'm friends with, has way more subscribers than I do. All these channels, like those are in my mind bigger channels. So I was like, well, I'm small compared to them. And I didn't even think about the context of when I said that. You're like, really? So thanks for that little pun right there.
Oh, no problem. I mean, I think it's funny, and I just like to, give you a jab once in a while about that, because you're small, and I'm like, what am I, plankton? Like, because at that time I think I had just over 1,000 subscribers. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that's very, it's all relative. Like what I consider, like to me, you're big. You have 20.6 thousand compared to, that's what I saw this morning. If I remember correctly, I have had some coffee, so I think I'm actually somewhat functional, but okay, well, I'm sorry about that. And I guess you'll have to call Jason to come and bring you some. So. But I mean, everything's relative. So
it is.
But everyone has their own talent, everyone has their own spin, and whether you're a large or a small channel, I think everyone's doing a wonderful job with that. But for anyone that doesn't know what we're doing today, we are doing the Pandas in Sweaters pattern by Elizabeth Hartman. It was a challenge that I threw down to Becca about, 9 months ago?
Oh, gosh, yes. And it's taken that long to get ready for this.
Well, that's okay.
I have told Sean multiple times that I want to do an Elizabeth Hartman pattern. And he has been known on his channel, because I'm sure you guys all know this. He's done a couple of Elizabeth Hartmans, but he's also done the Art Meets East pixelated kind of quilts. And I absolutely love those. And I keep saying, I want to do one day. One day I'll do one. And Sean called me in the spring and kindly said, hey, Becca, get off your butt and do it already. Or maybe the conversation went something like this. Hey, I have an idea. We could do one together and I'll hold your hand. But I prefer to think of it as, hey, Becca, get off your butt already.
Hey, either way, I think it's great that you took the challenge, and I'm very interested to hear how you like the process, because when you look at one of her patterns, like her patterns are incredibly well written, in my opinion.
They
but
are.
When you open it up, the page, it's what, I don't know how many pages long. I mean, I'm on page 12 already, and I'm just starting. It's like a small novel. Yeah, it's a small book. Yeah, it's a small novel. And when you first open that thing, it's very, very intimidating. Like my sister bought these Darksons and Sweaters pattern by her many years ago. And I looked at that thing and I was like, good gravy, like this seems to be nuts. But, it's very well written. And if you just take it step by step, a marathon is a, series of steps. If you do it that way, just take it step by step, it's incredibly well written. You'll get through it. And if you ever need help, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Elizabeth Hartman herself. She will actually answer your emails in a timely manner, which I think is absolutely amazing, and we'll get it done. So it's just, a lot of cutting. If you can get yourself a Mary, that's fantastic. But if not, just take your time of it. When I sit down and cut, I don't rush it. I just sit down and, take my time. I put up a couple of good videos and just, go from there.
So when I took this, I'm just sharing, reminding folks on my channel that I am live with you right now, so they can come over and join us. Sorry. And I'm also
fine.
that in the Facebook group. But I will tell you, when I picked this up. I was very intimidated by all of the cutting. And Mary kindly offered to do the cutting for me because she knew this quilt was going to come to her. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll let you do the cutting. Although I'm going to be honest with you, that may have been my Achilles heel because the pattern is supposed to make 9 pandas. And she loves pandas so much that she said, no, not enough. Here, we're going to do 20. And so I'm a little overwhelmed. You can see here by all of the pieces that are in here. However, everything is cut nicely. Everything is labeled. And Sean's right. The book does tell you exactly what to do. So I'm just taking this slow and steady. I'm a list maker. I was telling Sean this before the live, and I've mentioned it in a couple of videos, and I actually should do a more in-depth video about my system. But I am a list maker. I like to check things off. It makes me feel like I am making progress. So any big thing in my life, work, sewing, video making, whatever, I like to make lists so that I can see the progress along the way. With quilting, you do have a tangible item, but sometimes, when you're done, I put this in the bin and I walk away from it, you can forget where you are. So the list helped me with that. So what I did, I had said I was going to make 1 panda at a time. And I think, Sean, that might be where you're doing, because you said you were working on 1 or 2 pandas today. When I looked at this is all broken down by building out all the units. So for example, you start off by building out the eyes, and then maybe you build out a nose, and you make the ears, and then you put those all together to make the face. So I followed that structure in my list. And so when I'm working on our eyes, I'm not going to have a finished panda block to show you at the end of this live stream, but I might have something that looks a little bit more like eyes. These are the pupils.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And you asked me how I'm enjoying it. I actually like it. It's not bad at all. It's overwhelming because of all of the different pieces, but I really like tiny piecing, and this is kind of that, but the pieces aren't that tiny. It's just a lot of pieces.
Yes, for sure. If you want to talk about tiny pieces, I'll show you something I haven't shown anybody else yet.
We get the exclusive.
Yeah, I've been working on this. I started on this last night. And I thought, you know what? I'll finish it. I'll finish in a couple of hours, and I'll be able to show it the completed block, tomorrow morning. Well, that ain't going to happen. But this is part of it that I was working on last night.
Oh, so cute.
I mean, and this is tiny, So
yeah, I really like working with small pieces. There's something fun about it. I've always loved miniatures. So like the tiny piecing kind of brings the world of miniatures into the world of quilting. So it's kind of fun. And I'm looking forward to making a miniature quilt for the state fair in 2024. Just saying.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a moment. But and I'm excited to tell everybody about that because, I'd forgotten we haven't told anybody else about that yet. But let's just say good morning or good evening, because we have a few folks here from Australia as well, to everybody. And if you are watching as a replay, which a lot of my viewers do, because, we're up super early, especially, even on the East Coast. If you're a West Coast, we have some folks here from Oregon and some other places already, which, blows me away. But if you are watching a replay, I would love it if you just tell us, hey, hi, Sean, hi, Becca, just let us know that you're watching, because we see the view counts, but we don't know where you're from and who's watching. And it's always nice to know who's hanging out with each and every week. So let's see who's here. It looks like our friend Laura Lynn was popped in a little earlier. I think she ducked away for a minute, but she'll probably be back a little later on. My friend Marge from Brisbane popped in, but she's going to go watch her football because it's the finals in the Australian rugby right now. So that's pretty exciting. Stephen Bland from Bland Design and Idiot Quilter is here with us this morning. Donnell Stitchery is here. Good morning. And she has a live today at 12. So if you want to see what she's up to, hit exclamation point Donnell and at DONNELL in the chat. You can put that in the chat. Ellen Campbell is here with us. Good morning. Let's see. And I'm probably going to miss someone. If I do, I apologize. This lack of coffee is what I'm going to blame. Linda Parsons is here. Let's see. And there's probably a bunch of other folks here that I'm missing. And scroll down. We had a lot of chat this morning, which was excellent. Jeanette Vincent is here from Riddle, Oregon. Janine is here. Barb Troxell is here. She says it's a good day to sew with it raining outside. And that's what my plan is today, because what is it? Ophelia is rolling up the coast somewhere.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she's not super powerful. But yeah, it's a good day. Yeah, we've been running around like chickens of our heads couple after the last few weeks. We've been to Jamestown, Williamsburg, Richmond, the State Fair to drop off the quilts. And hopefully we still get to go tomorrow. Well, we're hoping we can go, but we'll see what happens there. Martha popped in, but she has to go to work today. Unfortunately, she has to work like one Saturday a month, the poor thing. So she won't be with us this morning. Amy Dementor's here. And if you haven't checked out her channel, she's doing some wonderful stuff. Like she's just rocketing along, and she's only been doing this for like 5 weeks and it's already, almost 2,000 subscribers. So she's doing a great job with that. Marjorie Hall and Carrie is here. Dragonflies for Donna. She says a new subscriber from Becca's channel. Looking forward to seeing how the pandas come together. Well, thank you so much for coming over and checking out my little corner of this quilting world. Russ is here from Quilt Meets World. And let's see, Kathy Hutchins. Jan Johnson is here from Western Australia. It's always good to see her. Tessa Howes, bobbing with Brittany. Oh, good morning. It's good to see Brittany. She has a wonderful channel as well if you haven't seen hers. Go over and check her out. Stephanie Fulton and Tantrum. It looks like all the cool kids are here. Like we've got a wonderful little crew here this morning. I need to have you on. I need to have Becca on more often, apparently. Philippa Pearl. Nancy is here with us, the copycat quilter. Ginger should be coming back to join us in a couple of weeks, I believe. Doreen, and let's see, did I catch everybody or did I? And my friend Nicole from Davana Lee Designs is here. She's staying up late over there in Brisbane, Australia. She's a wonderful channel. Go check her out. Should be exclamation point Nicole. Gloria is here. She says good wet windy morning. She's up in she's up there by the state fairgrounds. I'm going to go up and hang out with her in a couple of weeks as well. And Nadine Logan is here from France. So yeah, we got and Candace is here. I think I caught everybody. Elizabeth Helvey as well. So let's go ahead and get sewing. But yeah, do you want to tell us what we were going to talk about?
I think we're going to talk about the state fair.
Yes.
But why don't you start that story? Because don't you have a quilt in the state fair right now, or you're going to?
I do. It's hanging up there right now. I am so eager to go see it and see if there's a pretty ribbon attached to it, because I don't know the results and they do not publish the results online until, well, they say in the middle of the fair. In past years, it's been the end of the fair. So I do not know the results yet. We are hoping that Ophelia, which is the tropical storm rolling up the east coast right now, passes by and we can actually go tomorrow. We're figuring, it might be a bit damp and wet tomorrow, but if it's not raining, we've got to go up there because there won't be as many crowds, which is, always my cup of tea. And we'll go see how it goes. But yeah, so I have a small doll. I put a doll quilt in every year, which is a quilt, and in the Virginia show is a quilt that's 25 by 25 or smaller. So I figure, I work on a domestic machine. I prefer working on smaller stuff, hence, all the Eastern Elizabeth Hartman stuff. I figured I'll start off with smaller stuff, and it's less, there's not as many people entering that as well. So I thought it was a good way for me to start into it. And I've just really enjoyed it. So this is my third year entering a quilt into that. And Becca and I were talking, and she thought it'd be really fun for her and I to enter the same category next year. So Becca's going to put her quilt in next year. I'm going to put mine in. And we're going to see how we do against each other. I think it's going to be a fun little competition between the two of us. And, she may pick up first place and I get, fourth, or it might be the other way around. We just don't know, but it's going to be a lot of fun just to see what will happen at the state fair in 2024. And, so that's our second challenge to each other that we've come up with recently.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, but I have to say, I'm kind of geeking out right now because Steven said he's busy fixing a 3D printer.
He has
yeah, I'm like,
he has like 6 of them.
Holy cow, that's so cool.
Yeah, you'll have to, I forget which video it was. It might be one of his retreats that he has. But yeah, he showed us one day, he has like this whole, like this big long bench, and there's like 4 or 5 of them lined up all together. He actually made, where's it? I have it floating around somewhere. I was one of his guest speakers at his last retreat in the spring, and he made a bunch of stuff like as a thank you gift for everybody. And it was like a little gnome with a stitch ripper and everything else attached to it, and it was all stuff that he made himself, and it was really, really neat. I just don't know if it's within reaching distance.
Well, that's okay. I'm sure you send me a picture of it later, but
yeah, I'll do that.
That's really cool. I love it whenever you have an artisan that crosses over into the tech world, right? Like that's kind of like that's my people right there. Like that's so cool. I love that. So anyway, okay, we can stop geeking out about 3D printers that he obviously has become well vested in.
Yes, and he does a wonderful job with that stuff there. Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Right. So let's what were we talking about? I don't know. It's morning. I haven't had coffee. I'm still waking up.
Well, you're so used to doing evening lives, like I'm one of the only ones crazy enough to hop up and do these things in the morning. And I was talking to someone a little while ago, and they're like, people actually show up to this thing. I'm like, yeah, they do. Like, I'm still surprised. Like, yeah, because it is super early, like Saturday morning, and that's one of the reasons I do it this early. Is like my family likes to sleep in. My wife and the boys like to sleep in. When we've had the girls here as exchange students, I've like to sleep in. I'm like, well, let's just, I'm an early riser. Let's just see what happens and see if anyone actually ever shows up. So, and every week everyone's here, so it's awesome.
Well, I'll tell you, like a lot of times I am sleeping when your live stream is on, but my husband usually works out with a friend on Saturday morning. And so for the most part, I'm alone Saturday morning. So if I am awake, I'll come down here and I'll turn on the live stream. And even if I'm not chatting or very active in the chat,
yeah,
because I'm still waking up and probably look like I'm still waking up, I am not a morning person. It takes a lot of energy for me to actively be engaging right now.
Right.
But yeah, I'll turn it on, and it's kind of nice just to sit and listen to you talk because I don't have to say anything. So
right.
it's like that car ride on the way into work, right? Where you get to listen to your favorite talk show or whatever, but you don't have to do any talking. You can just absorb it. It's kind of really neat to wake up to. So I'm wondering if some people are using your channel to wake up, because that's what I do.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that. Do you like, are you a morning person, or is it like Becca where you I do more listening than anything else? I'd love to hear the answer to that, because you're not going to offend me or upset me if you say, hey, I'm watching this 7 hours late, or I'm watching this half asleep. Like, I'm just glad you're here. So, whatever your reason is, I'd love to hear that as well. But it looks like we've had a few people say that they're going to quilt shows. I think Janine was one of them. Yeah, she's up there in upstate New York, so I'm not sure where it is. I think it was like an hour and a half away. So I don't know if it's like in, I don't know. My geography of New York State right now is a little sketchy. So Brenda says she has to go to a shop hop. That's always a lot of fun. Apparently they're doing one here in Virginia next year with like 60 different shops or something.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be a lot of fun there. So Jennifer is here. Jennifer Tawney is here. Good morning. Brittany says, looking forward to when my toddler starts sleeping in. Yeah, I mean, I've never had that, but my sister has two toddlers. Well, one of them's 2.5, almost 3. Good gravy. And the other one is, I think, 9 months old now. I'm terrible. I should know this stuff, but I don't. Jan says, don't talk to me in the morning until I've had my coffee. I'm with you. I'm not a morning person. My wife was like that. She it's best to give her coffee first and then try and have a conversation. But like, I'm not an evening person. That's why I don't do evening lives, because you wouldn't get a very good Sean in the evenings, so, especially on a Friday night. I don't know how you do it. Like, I am mentally spent at the end of the work week. I
am a night person. I look forward to the evening. So my husband is not. Jason's usually up every morning by 4:30, even if it's a weekend. That's just his jam, right? Like, I woke up at 7. He had already been up for hours. He had already done his workout, all the things. So yeah, I feel like the slacker waking up at 7 around him. But if I were not married and did not have a child and a job and whatever, I could very easily be up till 12 or 1 o'clock before I got tired. And then I would very happily sleep till 10 or 11 the next day. So, well, maybe not that late. But I probably wouldn't go to bed as early as I do. I have to force myself to go to bed early because I have a job and I want to be able to have as much time in the evenings doing things with my family as possible. So I forced myself to have a schedule where I wake up around 7-ish and I try to go to bed by 10.
Yeah, I'm fairly similar. Like on the days I go into the office, I have to leave here at 7. Amanda's usually going by 6:30-ish, when she has her because she does the lead on the drama production at school. At school, she teaches that. So yeah, we're always up super early. So
I feel like it's easy when it comes to Friday night. Unless I've had a very trying week, it's pretty easy to flip on like, hey, we're gonna be up late tonight. So I think that's what drives like the Friday Night Live. Sound like a Valley girl. How many times have I said like tonight? Oh my gosh, today. So I have already started. I see you're sewing too. I have all of these eye units, and I'll just show you in this camera over here, like that. I have all of these eye units that I have to snowball all these corners for. So right now what I'm using is my fabric O to snowball the upper right corner and the lower left corner of the right eye, and then we'll do mirror image for the left eye. And because I'm making 20 pandas, Mary, I have 40 eyes to do this to. And once those are done, then we're going to snowball these two opposite corners so we have kind of a rounded out panda eye. So my goal is to make one left eye and one right eye of each so that you can see what that looks like. The only finicky part of this, Sean, I got to tell you this. This is hilarious. So Mary picked the fabric for this because she's going to get the quilt. And she decided she wanted this to be made with art gallery solids. And she was super excited. She picked out a batik fat quarter bundle I had on my shelf for the sweaters. But for the actual pandas in the background, she decided she wanted to use art gallery solids, right?
Right.
So we went to a quilt store, she picked out all the fabric, and she chose, the panda has two options. You can do the all black panda, which has two different types of black. You have the black for the body and then the darkest black for the pupils of the eyes and the nose.
Which is what I'm doing.
Yes, that's what she wanted too. Or you could do a black and white panda where you have one type of black and one white, and you use the white to also do the pupils of the eyes, which is obviously what I'm doing. Well, she wanted the all black panda, right? Like she didn't want the white in the eyes, she wanted black. So she picked out Caviar, which is an art gallery black, for the body of the panda. And then she picked out Double Dip Black for the pupils of the eyes. And she cut up all the fabric, which took months, as you know. She cut up all the fabric and then brought it to me, and I opened it up and I started putting together the eyes. Well, that pupil definitely looked exactly the same as the rest of the eyeball. And so I had to call her and show her, and I was like, I don't think we cut this right. I'm not sure if you cut all of the black from Double Dip or all of the black from Caviar, but there is really no distinction between the pupil and the eye. What do you want me to do? So last weekend, it was a whole thing just to even get started. So I had to run up to the quilt shop, see if they had any of the other fabric. They did not. I did buy a dark gray that I can use to do something else on a different project because she ended up choosing against it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, obviously, we decided just to use the white in the eyes. And I feel kind of bad about that because I know she was really looking forward to having like the all black panda. But I figured this might be a really good opportunity for her to sew some little tiny black buttons into the white squares. And maybe that'll give it a different detail. She did sign off on this though.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun to see the two different ways of doing it because I've used the because this is Kona Pepper, which is, as you know, one of my favorites, and then just black. And I've done this before with the Art East project, the Mythical Darks, and so I knew it was going to work. So I was able to cheat in that little bit of way. So, but yeah, it could be fun to see it the other way. And I was looking at too, like I remember you talking, it was on your Tuesday live that you did, and you were talking about this a little bit, and you're talking about the white eyes and the black eyes, and I thought it'd be super fun to do maybe some with green eyes and brown eyes and that sort of thing there. But then I went and looked up panda eye colors, and they don't have different color eyes like humans. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to stick to what I originally thought of. So. Because I mean, this is going to go to my wife Amanda, and she would like it to be. I'm sure she wants it to be as authentic as possible.
Yeah, does she know about? I don't know. Mary said something about the pandas are leaving the zoo.
Yes, yeah, we heard about that, and it's very sad. They're going back to China in December, so we got to go see it. I've seen them a few times because I'm only 3.5 hours down the road, and we took our last exchange student Daria to go see them. Was it May or it was May? It must have been May because we took her to the tiger thing a couple of weeks later, and she really enjoyed that. But she really enjoyed the tigers. That was her favorite. So, but yeah, she got to see the giant pandas, and it's going to be sad to see the pandas go. But they are talking about the possibility of maybe getting some back at some point as well.
Okay.
So we'll live in hope.
I didn't know that, like, I'm completely oblivious to the whole world. I live in a really weird state of ignore everything.
Might be better that way.
I didn't know that they were going away.
Well, it was funny too, because the announcement came out like the day or two before you and I announced this project.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was almost like we'd planned it that way.
We did not.
No, we didn't. It was like just coincidental, but yeah, it's almost like we figured, okay, well, we'll do the farewell tour with the pandas by making some panda quilts. Like it was just, that's how it worked out.
Well, I had they're leaving in December. That's interesting. So I have looked at this pattern, and I mentioned that I mentioned when I announced that we were doing this together, I talked about trying to have one panda block done a week, which would take me the better part of, 6 months to do. And the more I'm looking at this with the assembly line sewing, I feel like if I'm diligent and I work on this every week, it would take a bit of work, but I feel like I could have this done by Christmas, at least pieced. So I'm kind of like, well, if they're leaving in December, wouldn't it be cool to give Mary the quilt top for Christmas as like, I know you're losing your precious pandas, but here's a quilt.
Yeah, I mean that would be fun. And I found like with the koala pattern I did last year, the first block took quite some time, but then once you do it more and more, it's almost like you can do it in your sleep. And I think the fact that you're doing it assembly line style is going to be very, very helpful for you too. So yeah, I mean, you might be able to get it done in that time frame. It's just all.
We'll have to see.
Yeah. All right, Kerry says, so Becca, I've been using our gallery solos for a current project and find it phrase less in Kona. Have you found that to be true of your pandas so far?
Yes. And I think, and somebody who's far more techie than me and knows more about the industry could chip in, but I think the reason is because it's a tighter weave and a higher thread count. Because the same thing feels true of batik fabric, but I am not an expert, so maybe somebody else has the answer for that.
Well, I use a lot of batiks, and I very rarely notice them fraying.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but I've noticed that.
I like the way they feel.
Oh, me too.
By the way, somebody asked you earlier what your shirt says, and I was going to read it off for you. You want to show me shirt?
Okay, so let me just stand up a little bit. It says don't drink and quilt. And then you can see this one here is like needs my friend who will not be named. It was a Christmas gift from one of my family members. I can't remember if it was my was either my mother-in-law or Daria, who was like our exchange student last year. It was one of the two. So, because I just said, just buy me some quilting shirts. Like, that's all I want. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I bought Jason a fencing shirt last year that says, I make friends and stab them.
Oh, there you go.
Because he likes to fence. Thought that was great.
I bet you like that one.
He does. He wears it a lot. Oh, and my mom got him one that says fencing. It's how I get my point across. The punnier, the better.
Yes. Yeah, I haven't. I think you've seen most of them by now, but you know, the other one I like a lot too is it says I quilt, but my favorite hobby is collecting fabric. But I'm trying really hard not to buy a lot of fabric right now. Like this project here, like I have a bolt of the pepper and I have black and I have white floating around. The background fabric I'm using what they called for, which is, I can't remember what it is, but this is what it looks like. It's.
Oh, okay.
That I actually bought last year because I misread the cutting instructions for the Wizard of Oz project. It said to buy 4.5 yards of this blue Kona for the background, and it said buy 4.5 yards of this for, and then it wasn't until I got home and realized it said or. And so I had 4.5 yards of this fabric that I had no use for. I figured, oh, well, I'll use it for something. And then this project came up and this is what it called for. So I was like, okay, well, that's good. Yeah, so I have the white. I had the white here already, the black here already, and then the background, like the sweaters themselves. I'm just going to pick different fabrics. I figured I'd go like to call dumpster diving, and just went through my stash. So this is the first two. This is the pink.
I love that pink.
Yeah, and I have no clue where this came from. I bought it at some point. I can't remember where or why. And then this one.
I know that fabric.
Yeah, this one came from Cotton Cuts. It was, I got a fat quarter of it from them last year. It was a prize. They had like a your name day, like each day in February, I think it was last year, they picked a name. And if your name came up, like if you're a Susan or a Becca or a Sean or whatever, if your name came up, they sent you a fat quarter. And so that's what they sent me. And like, to me, it looked pretty. I had no clue what it was. And I showed it to my wife and she said, oh, that looks like knitting. It's like, okay, I'm glad you could see that. So when I was pulling fabrics, I figured, okay, well, I'll just use, that has to be one of the ones that I use for her. Well, thank you so much, Mona. She dropped in a, what is it called, a super chat?
Yeah.
$4.99. Thank you so much for doing that. It's never expected, but it's always very, very much appreciated because that will always go towards fun new projects for you guys to see as well. Brittany says, breakfast time for the family. Have a great day, everyone. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a while. Always come back and check out the replay if you get a chance, but it was great having you here as well. She has a fun channel. I don't know if you've seen Bobbing with Brittany yet, but she has a fun little channel. So
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I try to subscribe to anybody that I know that has a creative channel. I try to subscribe and I leave my subscriptions public. So anybody that's on my channel that wants to find another channel to look at, you can just see all of them instead of like, who do I recommend? Who are my favorites? You can just see everybody there.
Yeah.
But I don't always get to watch all of them. There's a lot of creative YouTube channels out there and I can't keep up.
No, I can't either, but I like to check out as many as I can. You know, I'm always on the lookout for, you know, new folks to hang out with and check out. So, all right, Marge says, taking all the excitement of our Brisbane teams rocking tonight, Broncos and Lions are roaring. Okay, so her teams are doing very well tonight. So hopefully that continues for her. All right, Chloe Morgan is joining us with the pandas, and she says she's hoping to cut out at least one panda today. So, yeah, that's great. What size are you making? Are you making the large, the small, or you can also make a pillow? I figured what I'm going to do is I'm going to change mine up just a hair. The large says 9, which is 3x3. I want to do 2x4 and make it like a nice lap size quilt. So I'm going to actually end up doing 8 blocks.
Oh, there you go.
So it makes the cutting just a little more challenging because I got to do a little bit of like I can basically fold a 9 and just not cut out quite as many. But I didn't want a really big square quilt because I asked Amanda about it, and she said she wanted a lap quilt. So I was like, okay, well, I figure I'll just do 8 because I could always add more, sashing or a border if it's not quite big enough. So that's my plan for that. All right, let's see. Chloe's making a breakfast and watching. Ginger's going to go prep for an all-day Zoom workshop on improv curves. Oh, that sounds like fun. All right, Jan's not happy. Apparently, the Lions beat her team Carlton, which is Australian rules football. And if you're not familiar with Australian rules football, go. It's very difficult to explain. It's almost a cross between soccer, football, and basketball.
Okay, that sounds odd.
All right, so see, when you come on to Brekkie, the guy who sews, you never know what we're going to talk about. So last week, I think we talked about sodas tasting different in different parts of the world. And this week, we're going to talk about a game that is crossed between 3 different sports. So there's 2 types. In America, you have American football. And then, for some people, they watch soccer, which they also call football. But, generally football is, either college ball or NFL. But in Australia, we have 2 different types of football. There's rugby league, which, most of you guys know as rugby, even though it's union, it's slightly different, but close enough for government use. And then there's Australian rules football, which is more popular in the states of Victoria, South Australia, and Western Australia, although it's starting to get more popular in New South Wales and Queensland as well. But basically, with Australian rules football, you have this, I think it's a circular field.
Okay.
Because they use a lot of the cricket grounds, because cricket's a summer sport, football or Australian rules football is a winter sport. And at each end of the field, you have 4 straight goalposts. And so the goal of it is you don't score a touchdown, you have to kick a goal. So that's where the soccer comes into it. And if you get it in between the 2 center poles, you get 6 points. And if you kind of miss those 2, but you get it in between the outer ones, you get 1 point, which is called a behind. So you can, okay, so that's where the football and the soccer comes into it. Now, the basketball thing is every 10 meters you run, which is about 10.5 yards, you have to bounce the ball. Yeah.
So that's where the dribbling comes in.
Yeah, you have to dribble it like every 10 yards. Like, so yeah, it's very weird. It's very strange if you're not used to it. If you're interested in it, go look up a YouTube video on like the basics of Australian rules football or AFL, and someone will explain it a whole lot better than I can and have nice pictures and diagrams and stuff like that. But so it's oval. Okay, all right. I thought it was circular, but I was sort of. I had the right shape.
It's
I had the right shape, but not the right.
It's rounded. We're okay. It's not square and rectangular.
So that's your Australian rules footballs for dummies. We played a couple of times in high school, like in PE class, and yeah, it's an interesting sport. It's definitely different to what you expect here, and I think what is it too? I think you can't pass the ball to anybody else. You have to kick it to somebody else, and if you kick it more than 10 meters, which is again 10.5 yards, you get a free kick and so forth like that. I'm sure Jan's probably cringing at me right now going, Sean, you got this all wrong. And if that's the case, I can send you a Zoom link and I'll have you come and explain it for us.
Will Quilt, you can correct all of our misunderstandings on this. I
blame being raised in New South Wales and the fact that I've been outside of Australia for almost 22 years. So there you go.
I watched Kara and Nate have an awesome channel. They do a lot of travel videos.
Oh, I love Kara and Nate.
Oh, did you see that they were in the Outback last week?
I haven't watched that yet, but I want to, yes.
It's actually a 2-parter. So it's 2 episodes back to back. They went to Australia's most remote community, like 24-hour drive away from any civilization.
Oh, wow.
So I was thinking of you when I saw that. I was like, oh, I wonder if Sean's seen this yet.
I saw it came up on my feed. I have not had a chance to watch it. I might do that today since, it's a dreary, nasty day and I need something to watch. I love Kira and Nate's channel. It used to be fun when you could go back and sort the videos by age, because I went back and watched their very beginning videos when they were going through like Southeast Asia and that sort of thing there. But they do a wonderful job. There's another channel I like to watch too called The Endless Adventure. I can't remember those. They're very, very similar to Kira and Nate. It's another young couple like them. They're just a lot of fun there as well. So maybe check out that one if you get a chance. There's a lot of fun travel ones. I enjoy traveling vicariously through these people because I don't have to sit on a plane all scrunched up for hours on end. They can just do it for me.
Or they can travel on a plane in a ticket that I will never be able to afford.
Yeah, well, Kira and Nate have so many miles and points, and they've got that stuff worked out to a science. So
they do. They do. And they're smart because they've done a couple of videos where the whole topic of the video is the first class seat. And so it can become an advertisement for that airline. And I am sure they got a good deal on the seat.
Yes.
I would. Yes. I mean, that's smart.
If I remember correctly, I think Nate did like a massive mile run before he started this journey. I think he went and basically a mileage run, for anyone that doesn't know, is where you fly a bunch of flights in like a short succession of time for the pure purpose of getting mileage and status, because once you get more status in your airlines, you get more upgrades and that sort of thing there. So a lot of times they can buy an economy class seat, but because they have this, the highest status, they often get upgraded for first class for free. So they've got it worked out as well. Kinging It is another great channel. Okay, I'll check that one out as well.
I like them. Yeah,
I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to go check that one out. So yeah, we'll have to write this all down.
Kara and Nate did a couple of collabs with them, but Eamon and Beck do a lot of collabs with them too. Eamon and Beck is the two, like if there's two non-quilty channels that I watch 100% of and I don't miss a single video for, it's Eamon and Beck and Kara and Nate.
Okay, I'll have to go check those out because
Eamon and Beck are a young couple in their early 30s that live up in Canada. They used to be van lifers, and then the pandemic hit, and they bought like a Mercedes van, converted it, lived in it, and were traveling all over like Morocco and stuff. They own a tea company up in Canada, and a couple when the pandemic struck, they came back home and they bought another van and took you through the whole conversion process, building that van out. And then after the van was done, they were just kind of like, they didn't want to go anywhere. They had planned to like travel all over Canada and show everything. And then they just decided that they didn't want to do it. So they bought this cabin that was built in like the 60s or the 70s and had never been renovated on about 3 or 4 acres of land right off of a lake in like rural Canada, and decided to start refinishing that. And so they went through the build process while they were getting their excitement back up, waiting for the world to open back up, if you will. And so they started renovating the cabin. And then they decided they were going to start traveling again. They went down to Mexico and did some other things. But in the midst of all of that, they found out that Beck had breast cancer. And so their whole journey took like a sharp turn left. And they cataloged like their journey through IVF because they wanted to be able to have children at one point, and all of her chemotherapy and radiation and her whole cancer journey as much as they could, right? And she's now through it. She's gone through all the treatment. Everything looks good. She's doing her regular scans. And just as they were about to get back on the bandwagon, whatever the saying is, she found out she was pregnant. So now they're preparing for a baby, and they're still living in this little cabin in Canada. They've got a dog. And so they've transitioned over the past couple of years. They've transitioned their channel from being like these van lifers to just them living at home and doing all these fun things. So yeah, I really like watching them. And I feel like a lot of that is because I feel a connection with them. Not that I know them. They don't know who I am. I don't know who they are. But I feel like they share some of their story with me every week. And so I feel like I'm a part of their family. So I want catching up with them. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. It's fun that you and I like the same sort of channels because, yeah, like I've watched Kara and Nate. I don't watch them religiously like you do. But yeah, I really enjoy them. The Endless Adventure was the other one. And then there's other ones I just watch on occasion too. I can't remember their names. I'd have to go back and look through my history. But yeah, my feed tends to be mostly travel related and quilting related. So it's nice that I'm not the only one now.
Yep. I will say you mentioned something about how Nate had just done a mile run before this last trip or whatever. He did talk about in this last video about how, or maybe it was the one before, whatever. He talked about this rhythm that they have because sometimes you see them do these really hard physical challenges, like living 48 hours in the wilderness with nothing.
Yeah.
And then the next one, they're flying first class for 24 hours. So you're like, wait, what? So he said what they do is they do a hard challenge and then they do something luxurious. And he feels like trading it off, hard and then luxury allows them to continue to appreciate the small things in life because they deprive themselves of it or put themselves through these really hard challenges so frequently. I was like, that's an interesting thought. Still won't do it. I'll watch you do it. Thank you.
Yes. If you want to, now that you're talking about these challenges and stuff, if you want to see someone that does all these hard challenges, travel-wise, there's a gentleman out there, and I don't know how old he is. He's probably like in his late 20s, early 30s, called Simon Wilson.
Oh, okay.
He's done like the 7 wonders of the world in 7 days.
Wow.
7 continents in 7 days. And then he does like these money challenges. Like he goes to different places like London. I think he went to Russia before that, or went to hell in a handbasket with no money, and tries to survive with no money. And then he did one too where there was like a travel edition of Monopoly, and he basically rolled the dice, and whatever city or place that it showed on the board when he rolled, he flew there and spent a day there.
Wow, that sounds fun.
Yeah, he has a really fun channel. He hasn't put any content out in the last couple of months, which, I'm a little disappointed by because I want to see more. But yeah, he's had some fun stuff. There was another one he did like in Australia where he rented a car, but he couldn't move it unless he had a stranger in it with him. And so he had to go around and ask folks to go for a ride with him somewhere. Like, do you want to get to Sydney? Do you want to go to... So yeah, he does a lot of fun stuff.
That sounds just like the makings of a video that maybe you shouldn't be making. Hey, do you want to ride somewhere? I got some candy.
He also did he went from New York to LA with no money.
Wow.
Like, he just as a challenge. Like, yeah, he does some really fun stuff. So I think you might enjoy that one.
Yeah. Ryan Trahan, he's a 20-something YouTuber. He did the same sort of thing. He does challenges periodically where he has to trade up from a penny. You know those shows where they're like, you start with a penny and we got to see what you end up with. He did this 30-day challenge last year, and I'm hoping he'll do it again. It was a fundraiser for the Hunger Foundation, I think was the name of it, something like that. But the goal was that he started with a penny in LA, and he had to get all the way to North Carolina where Mr. Beast is and give him the penny, but he could not use any of his own money. He had to, all the funds that he used for travel and everything had to be earned from that one penny.
Right.
Like that had to be it. He couldn't do it. And, as he's earning money and building up a little nest egg, you could trigger what he called the Great Reset by donating $50,000 in a one-time donation to the Hunger Foundation, and it would reset him all the way back to the penny. And of course, he was also accepting donations in any amount just to solve the hunger thing. And so some other YouTubers and some big companies and some some rich folks kind of got in on that, and they would reset him frequently, and it was kind of great. Anyway, he did make it. Ultimately, he did make it. But every day, I remember during that 30-day period, like I'd start off my day, I'd get a cup of coffee, and I'd pull up Ryan Trahan's video because I wanted to see how the challenge was going to work. How is he going to get across the country with one penny?
Right.
So it sounds like the guy you were talking about that went from NYC to LA would be another similar type of thing. That'd be interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Because like there was like a week or so. A lot of his subscribers helped because he had like 20,000 subscribers. I think at the time he's now at 1 million. But there was, Could you imagine having 1 million?
Apparently, I just need to go across the country.
With no money.
With no money, just fabric and thread.
Now there's a challenge for us to go across the country with no money and be able to source a yard of fabric from every fabric store. See, I live my life. You can tell in a yarny world. Get a yard of fabric from every store we go into.
I've often thought it would be really cool to collect like a fat quarter from every state, but you have to go there to get the fat quarter. You can't buy it online, and then make a quilt from all of those fat quarters.
That would be fun. I need to start working on that. Good morning, Tanya Rogers. She says, good morning from Virginia. What part of Virginia? Because we're both in Virginia too.
Yes, ma'am.
Just on the opposite ends of the state.
We're not technically opposite each other. We're just on different edges of the state. I'm on the northern edge.
Yeah, well, you're north, I'm south. So to me, that's opposite ends.
See, I don't consider you south. I consider you beach. East.
If I got a drone and flew it about 15 miles south, I'd hit North Carolina.
Okay, I'll give you south coast. All right, that's true.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely east. If I go 15 miles to the east, I'll run into the ocean. But yeah, we're oh wow, Stoughton. That's where my wife went to college. I know exactly where that is. I've been up there many, many times.
That's over by Harrisonburg, where my husband is from.
Yep. Just down 81, about 20 miles, I think it is.
Yeah, about a half an hour.
So there you go. Julie says, I recommend the channel Weedham and Reap for urban farmer enthusiasts, goats, poultry, dogs, cats, cooking, kids, and now college husband and wife team. A wonderful channel. I'll have to go check that one out as well. I got all my viewings lined up for this afternoon, apparently, already. This is awesome. Mona says, I don't know how you function so early. I'm a bear until at least 10 a.m. I don't know. I'm just a morning. Coffee helps. Lisette is asking, has anyone ever investigated machine repair education or training programs? I have not, but it'd be interesting to learn how to do that. I think what Tiffany learned, or was it Tiffany or her husband, whose name I can't remember right now, didn't he learn how to be certified to do their own long arm maintenance and so forth, or is it my imagination?
I don't think they're certified, but they do all of their maintenance on all of their machines.
So basically he knows how to do it.
Yep, and I think it's Tiffany, not Scott.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I thought it was one of them, but I couldn't remember which one it was.
I have been on the phone with Tiffany, and she has taken machines fully apart, not just like the bobbin area, but like the whole casing and everything. I think she's even done it in a couple of videos.
Yeah. I remember them talking about it on their channel, but I'm lucky to know what day of the week it is most of the time. So remembering which channel is amazing. And but yeah, that'd be fun. Like I do basic cleaning of my machine, but that's about it. But yeah, it would be nice to be able to pull it apart one day and learn. So yeah, if that ever comes up locally, I might have to take someone up on that offer and learn how to do that. Melissa says she might pass my way up in October. Well, definitely let me know if you do. I'm kind of out of the way. If you're going from where you are up to wherever you're going, unless you decide to come down 64, I'm about 2 hours east of 95. So, but yeah, definitely let me know if you're heading this way. Jan says she watches a lot of Aussies who travel around the great country. It's something my hubby and I were doing about a year from now. I actually had a lady and gentleman I went to high school with did that last year with their kids. They spent like 4 months going around Australia, and it was really fun to see their photos and that sort of thing there as they went to all these different places around Australia. I kept telling them, start a YouTube channel and post this stuff, but they didn't. So it would have been nice. All right, so what have I got done so far, besides sitting here chatting to everybody? So I've got this much done so far. So I don't think the panda's not getting done this morning, but that's okay. We have all day. Melissa is going to Sterling, Virginia. Okay, so that's up by your way.
Yep. It is. I guess I should be saying, tell me when you're up here, Melissa.
Well, if she lets me know ahead of time, like we've got to go up to Richmond for a couple of things, maybe we can stop and have lunch together or something. Like it's not, that could always work.
Yep.
So.
Oh.
All right. So it looks like Lizette, hang on. Look up Sewing Doc. She has some wonderful videos on maintenance. Okay, I'll have to go check that out as well. Thank you for that, Russ. See, this is why we ask questions in our videos, because our viewers have a lot of information that we don't. Like I do not have all the answers.
Nope.
And I figure, ask the folks that know more than I do. All right, so there you go. All right. Jan says maybe that could be an Aussie travel quilter on YouTube. I think you could. You very well could. Like I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'd watch it for sure.
I'd watch it 100%. I'm in.
Okay, well, so you got 2 subscribers already, Jan. You're set to go. All you need is 2 to start off. And when I started, I had no subscribers. I figured I will just give this a shot and see what happens.
Bingo, bango, blammo.
When we all start off with.
I started making the videos because I was like, oh, I've always wanted to be a teacher. And in fact, when I went to college, my first 2 years, I majored in education. And then they sent me out to audit a classroom, and I turned around and ran away screaming, nope, I'm good. Of course, I was majoring in elementary education, primary education. So they sent me out to an elementary school and they let me pick the grade that I monitored. And because I was fresh out of high school and I was intimidated by bigger kids, I figured the smaller kids would be easier. And what could be better than kindergarten? That would be awesome. No. I don't know how kindergartner teachers do it. There's like, the kids have never really been in school before. They don't they're just, no, too much energy. It's too chaotic. So very shortly after that, I changed my major and I got into IT. But that's always been something that I've been kind of excited about, is teaching. And I don't know why I was telling that story.
Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, my mother-in-law was a kindergarten teacher for many, many years. She loved it. I think you just have to be you need to have the passion to do that. Like it's not something you just, wake up out of bed and decide, hey, I want to be a kindergarten teacher. I did want to say good morning to my friend Lisa from Lisa Cape and Quilt. She is here with us this morning. It's great to see her. Yeah, and she's just asking how the wind is my way. I don't really see, I can't really see too much outside right now, but I'm not hearing it howling yet, so I think we're doing all right. She's up there, and I think up past Gloucester. I can't remember exactly where she's located now, but it's good to see Miss Lisa. Hopefully, I get to catch up with her next year. I missed out on seeing her at the Mid-Atlantic show this year. Apparently, I was about 30 feet away from her. Didn't realize it. But we'll coordinate something next year for sure, hopefully. So but yeah, I actually considered teaching as well as a career when I was in high school, and I also considered early childhood, and I went and did a week's work experience at a preschool, and about a day and a half into it I decided this ain't for me, because those children, they were little terrors.
I wanted to teach still. I had just hoped that I would be able to teach adults, and that didn't really pan out for me. So, anyway, it sounds like you had the same interaction I did.
Yeah, I thought it. but I actually did another week of work because this is something we did in Australian high schools, and we've talked about this before. But in I think they do it in Britain as well. But they in 10th grade you do 2 weeks of what they call work experience, where you pick a business or whatever it is, and you go do it's almost like an internship. Is the easiest way of explaining it. But you get to experience, your potential career fields before you go to college. And so I did a week at a preschool and was not my cup of tea at all. And then I did another week of primary education, K through 6, and it was a one teacher school.
Ooh.
So there was like 25 kids.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Oh, that was so much fun. I loved every minute of it. And if I could have taught in a school like that, I would have been happy. But then the strange thing was I decided ultimately against it because I didn't want to move far away from my family. And then, look where I am now. So
what brought you here, Sean? I don't think I know that story.
My wife, we met many, many years ago, and we started dating, and figured out that we were going to get married, and one of us needed to move. And with my background in customer service, it was a whole lot easier for me because she was a US history major at college, so there's not much call for that down in Australia. So here I am. So there you go. Let's see. Someone was asking about how many venomous snakes would one come across when touring around Australia. Is it a daily activity to see them while living there? Okay, so I'd like to answer this question. I lived down there for almost 24 years. I've been in the US for 22. I've seen more venomous snakes here in the US. Yeah, not kidding. I mean, in my whole time in Australia, I saw two venomous snakes in the 24 years I was down there. I've seen more venomous snakes at the local water park. Yeah, that's what everyone says when I tell them that, but it's true. Yes, there are some stuff down there that can kill you, but unless you go looking for it, it's not like you just don't go pick up sticks on the ground in the summertime. But are you frozen?
No, I'm in shock.
Yeah.
Wow. No, okay. Like, I'm deathly afraid of snakes.
Yeah, you got nothing to worry about. Just don't go out, picking up sticks in the middle of summer. But if you go down during the American summer, it's wintertime down there. And so they're usually in the hole sleeping anyway. So
here's the thing that you just said. I don't swim in lakes or oceans, really. And there's a reason for it. And I'm not going to get into all of it right now because it's just, it's sad and I don't want to talk about it. But one of the benefits of that is I don't have to worry about coming across a water snake in the water or da 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 da. But you just said you found two poisonous snakes in water parks. Now I don't want to go to the pool either.
Well, in your defense, like they were far away, like they were not anywhere near us, but I saw them.
So I guess, they weren't hanging out in the wave pool with you.
No. Like, like they were like, 30, 40 feet away at least, like in a little valley or that sort of thing there. But, like we were trained to look for snakes when you're walking around, because the last thing you want to do is tread on one, because if you tread on one, it's not going to give you a very good reaction. So I'd probably spot them quicker than most people just because of, that sort of thing there. But yeah, if you're afraid to go into Australia because of the snakes, don't stress it. Just, exercise due caution, of course, but you really have nothing to, really to worry about, to be honest. So
in the video, Kara and Nate, when they were talking to the tour guide, because they rented a camper to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
When they started walking around in the outback, or when they got there, the guy told them to watch out for snakes. And he's like, make sure you're wearing some really good boots. And they were wearing sandals for the whole trip. So anyway, so I'm guessing that's a normal thing out there, is they're like footwear. You don't wear sandals very much if you're going outside.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea, because that is the one saving grace with the snakes down there. And Jan can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but generally speaking, their fangs are very, very short. So if you have boots on, or even a good pair of jeans or something like that, and one does happen to strike you, like if you get bitten in the foot on a decent boot, it's not going to make it through the leather. On a good pair of jeans, it might nick your skin, but it's not going to go deep enough to inject any venom or anything else like that. So yeah, if you wear proper clothing or footwear while you're down there and you happen to get struck, there's a pretty good chance, it's not going to do any damage.
Gotcha.
So that's why they would be telling you that. Well, good morning, Shannon. It's good to see you here with us as well. I think Jean, I said good morning to Jean, but if I didn't, I'm saying it right now. We've got two Jeans in here, Jean Roher and Jean Brittingham. So yeah, I mean, everybody's here. Good gravy. We have 112 people watching this morning.
That's awesome.
That's like a record for us. Yeah, we definitely have to have, okay, you want to come back next week?
Next week, I'll be at the expo.
Oh, that's right. That's what we're doing next week. Yes.
I mean, we could do a live from the expo together, but
not at 8 a.m. I'll still be traveling then. So
I'll be in a class. I think I have a class at 8 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm going to try and I'll probably put a premiere up that morning. I have an idea of what I want to do, but I have to sit down and actually have time to record it first. So we'll see how things go. But yeah, hopefully, if all goes well, I'll be up there hanging out with Becca again. Yeah, so we'll get to see you next week. So that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I think my plan is I'll be there Friday and Saturday. So I'm going to go on Friday, and I've got a class in the afternoon. So I'll kind of mull around a little bit in the morning and check out the vendor situation. Probably will not be buying very much. And then I'll take my class in the afternoon. And then Saturday, I'm going early because I have a class in the morning that I'll do, and then I'll hang around with the vendors, and then I'll head back. I'll probably leave about 3:00. So I think if you're going to be at the expo, you may be able to find me on the vendor floor between 10 and I want to say 1:00 on Friday. And then on Saturday, I think it's going to be from like 11 to 3.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll
definitely see each other.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've got your contact information, so I'll kind of let you know when I'm nearby. So
is Amanda going with you, or are you doing this one alone?
We don't know. We'll have to see what the boys want to do. I don't know that the boys will be, well, one of them might be interested, but the other one will not be. So I'm just not quite sure what we'll do yet, but we'll talk about that during. I'll let you know what's happening. But
sure.
The plan is, for at least me to go. They might drop me off and go to DC and then come back and pick me up. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I am I'm not really in a big shopping mood, so I think I'm just going to spend a lot of time looking at the quilts and trying to take some photos and videos of some of them for a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to spend a lot of money, so
no, me either.
I'll do.
I go more for the inspiration to go see what all the pretty quilts look like. So
Yep.
So this is what I've got done so far.
You have almost a whole eye.
Yep, almost a whole eye. So, and then this thing's been an absolute godsend too. This
is that the corner clipper?
Yeah, the folded corner clipper. This thing's been fantastic. I actually didn't know about it till about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I saw Kendall Taylor using one on one of his projects, and I was like, okay, I need to get one of these because it's good for stitch and flip.
I have one and I've not used it. It's literally sitting on the shelf. I'll have to figure out how to use it. Can you show us?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, just give me a second. Oh, I just did this one. So let me do this. Let me sew it real quick and then I'll happily show you all.
Lisa said, not buying anything. I'm such an impulse shopper. That's going to be what's going to happen. I'm going to say I'm not buying anything, and $200 later, I will have bags to carry out to the car. But I do want to try. I do need to kind of I want to be careful. I want to make sure that if I do spend any money, it's for something that I need or I'm going to put to use pretty quickly. I don't want to buy just to buy.
Yeah. I'm usually pretty good. Like if I go to a quilt show and I have a budget or I have certain things I want to buy, I usually stick to that for the most part. I might find one or two things that I need or want, not need. But other than that, I'm usually pretty good. Okay, so what I want to do with this here with the fawn. How do I do this? Okay, let's do it here since we have a camera set up right here.
I was gonna say, put it in the throat of your machine. We can see you.
So you put the piece of fabric, two pieces of fabric together, and then you put the ruler down, and you want the. Why can't I word today? This line to go from corner to corner, and then you'll cut along this line here because that'll be a 1/4 inch.
Okay.
And it's that simple.
Okay.
And so if you cut it, which I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut it on my machine, obviously. Actually, yeah, so you just line it up, cut it. And so it'll look like so once it's cut. And then if you do your 1/4 inch seam, it lines up perfectly. Awesome. And there's no dog ears. And you're just good to go. I mean, I used to just eyeball it, and that works for me for most of the small stuff that I do. But this just makes it easier because I don't have to cut it afterwards.
There you go. I just cut with a regular ruler. I've just been using this thing. It just measures 1/4 inch away. Are all those eyes? Yes, these will all be eyes. I'm making 20 panda blocks, so I have to make 20 sets of eyes, 40 eyeballs. You do have a couple of comments in the chat, couple of questions. Teresa Lynch is asking you if this is an FPP pattern or if it's traditional piecing.
It's traditional piecing. It's what they call a stitch and flip, which is what I just demonstrated. But yeah, there's no FPP in this project at all, which is foundation paper piecing. And that's something that Elizabeth Hartman will mention, pretty prominently in her patterns, that no FPP is required. So I know there's a lot of FPP fans out there. I don't mind FPP, but it's not my favorite. I much prefer this method. But, whatever works best for you. So that's what I got done so far.
Dragonflies for Donna is asking where the Quilt Expo will be at.
And that's going to be at the Fredericksburg Convention Center, correct?
I think so, yes.
Okay. I mean, I'll look it up before I leave so I know I'm going to the right place, but that's kind of where I was planning on going next week. So
I think you'll end up at the right place, Sean.
Okay. And if I get lost, I'll just call you and say, hey, where am I supposed to go?
Where am I supposed to be? In DC. It's at the Fredericksburg Quilt Expo. If you go to the original Sewing and Expo website and look up Fredericksburg, you'll get all the information for it there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's at the. Remember, you did a video on it last year.
It's the Expo.
Yeah, the convention center looks like the same building. So
it is.
Okay.
It is. Sorry, I said Expo. I meant to say convention center. Coffee's starting to kick in, but not fully there yet. Chloe's asking if you're using your folded corners clipper. That's what you just.
I sure am, and I love that thing. I'm so glad that Kendall showed it on his video the other week, because I don't go out and buy all the rulers because I'm kind of selective. I don't want to have like 10,000 of them that I'm never going to use, but I figured this one would be one that I would use because it's specifically like made for like this purpose. And because I do so much of this, I thought it'd be a really, really good purchase for me. So
good. I'm glad you like it.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. Now, if it's something you're on the fence about buying and you think you got to use it, then I say go for it. All right. So good morning. Oh, our favorite panda is here.
Oh, is that Mary?
Yes. Yep. She says, good morning, friends.
She just wants to see how her eyeballs is coming.
Oh, that's fine. Hey, whatever. We do not mind what your reason is for being here. We're just happy you're here.
There you go. It is rainy outside and overcast, and I am kind of digging this weather. I think once the live is done, I'm going to open the windows and just smell the air and listen to the rain and sit in here and sew for the rest of the day. It's going to be marvelous.
Yep, that's what we told the boys today. We're just going to stay home. I mean, they can sit there and play video games. Amanda will watch podcasts and that sort of thing there. So we just have a nice day at home. Okay, Gloria's says that someone asked about the pen you're using. I did see that question earlier and then I got distracted.
I did too. Sorry. This is
Okay.
the Acorn Precision Easy Press Pen. I know a lot of people use this. I think Slay Arts, Shannon, I've seen her use it for her FPP. And by the way, congratulations, Shannon, on your legit kits. I think she got certified for teaching legit kits. That's awesome.
She's doing that yeah, she's going to Oklahoma City in October to be
That's
certified.
Awesome.
So yes.
Way to go. So this is basically just a little pen that has starch in it, has a marker nib on it, and you use it to draw starch on a very specific part of your block and then apply heat. This helps me get really super flat seams. And when you're working with tiny pieces, it's really important to me that I press every step of the way to keep the block nice and flat. So that's why I'm using it.
I should probably use that. I have one, but I've never used it.
Listen, I had one for years and I never used it until I saw people starting to use it for FPP. And I had the Ursula legit kit, the Ursula Minor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, well, let me give this a try and see if it works. And I stinking loved it. And it kind of became a little bit of muscle memory because when you're doing FPP, you're building this muscle memory, right? Like you're like, okay, I'm going to stitch and then flip and then press and then trim. And this ended up getting into the muscle memory. And now I find I'm doing this with traditional piecing too. And I probably don't need to, but I am. So it's just part of the muscle memory.
Yep. Yeah, no, thankfully my buddies John and Matt from Art East sent me like a whole Acorn kit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I know, it was very, very generous of them. I thank them so much for that because I almost ordered it and then like I didn't, and then I kept regretting it, and I was like, I need to go on there and order that, and I never did. And then my box showed up, and this Acorn stuff showed up with it, and they just said they threw a couple little extras, and I was like, that's more than a little couple of extras, but
they're expensive. It's an expensive little Notion bundle. It's like 20 or 30 bucks or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but the bundle gets you a bottle of the solution, the pen, and 2 replacement nibs. So it's worth it. The value's there.
For sure.
It's pricey. So for them to throw that in as an extra, that's a really nice extra.
Oh yeah, no, that was very, very generous, for that. And I also got the little glue thing.
The Acorn glue? Yeah, I have that, the Seam Align glue. I've not used it yet.
I used the glue down the back of my corners on my show quilt because they said I have to stitch it or close it down or something like that, and someone suggested I just glue it down. I'm like, okay, well, we'll just put that in and see what happens. So Donnell is asking, does the Acorn pen cause any fabric shrinkage? I'll leave that to you because I don't know the answer.
I'm going to say no, not the way I use it, because what I do with it is apply it just to the seam where it's already stitched, right? And it's usually right on that line of stitching. That's not going to shrink down any amount. However, if I took the liquid and I saturated a block of fabric with the liquid and then pressed it or let it dry, there would be shrinkage, because what causes shrinkage with your fabric is introducing the moisture and then letting it dry, whether it's starch or faultless or best press or throwing it in the washer. That's what's going to cause those fibers to shrink up a little bit. So I apply it just to the seam. I don't know if anybody else out there, I know Shannon with Slay Arts uses it on her blocks. I don't know if anybody else has seen different results. I don't see shrinkage from the pen because of the way I use it, not because it won't shrink your fabric. Hope that made sense.
Yes, well, thank you for that, because this is I haven't used it enough to try. I really should. I'll probably use it on the next block for Alice because I've already started this one, so I don't want to mess with it now.
Yep. You could always go back and just like use it on some of the seams. Honestly, it's not needed all of the time, but it's, like I said, it's just become a muscle memory thing for me.
Yeah. It's good. All right, so my eye is done. So this is how it looks if you use the dark gray and black.
That's what Mary wanted. But I think she wanted black and black. She didn't want dark gray. But I don't know that we were going to be able to get black and black. We would have had to go with like a really, 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 really dark gray, like your pepper, right?
Yeah. Well, that's about as light. That's about as I would not get much darker than this because like you can see a difference on the camera. It shows up really well, but if you're looking at it like here, like when I'm looking at it like this, it's not that different. So yeah, I would definitely not I don't think there's any way you would have been able to do black on black. Like this dark gray on black's about as low contrast as you can really go. So
yep.
All right, let's see. Christine says the glue is wonderful. Yeah, I really enjoyed the glue. I thought the glue worked out really, really nicely. The Kona sheen for the eye. That would have been a fun idea.
Ooh, so Shannon's saying same thing. She said same. I aim to not use too much to shrink any or so much to shrink anything. If you've done that, you've used way too much. Yeah, what she said. If you're shrinking fabric with this, you used way too much.
So there you go. But yeah, I speaking of the Kona sheen, I did use it on the Alice block. Spoiler alert.
Oh.
For the blush, because the fabric they sent, because it's all Tula fabric, it was like a pink with dots on it, and it looks nice enough. But I thought that it looked better with the Kona sheen because that's how like Glinda, the Good Witch, and that sort of thing, and the Wizard of Oz, use that, and I just thought it would look really nice. And I know that's for the purist that would want to use old Tula on the quilts would probably be mad at me, but that's okay. It's my quilt, and I thought it looked nicer with the sheen, so I just went ahead and put that in as well. So there's your little spoiler alert as well. All right. I don't know about you, but it takes a lot of concentration, I think, to do this while we're live.
Well, I think that's why you've been chatty Cathy over there, which is great. But I think that's why I've made more progress because I've just been sitting here listening to you. It's almost like I'm just in my room and you're on a live with someone else and I'm just sewing away.
Well, like I know when I'm live, I don't like a lot of silence. I want to be entertaining because a lot of the viewers come watch afterwards. It's like when you're live, if you're in a live chat, you can sit there and chat with each other. But if you come in to watch later on, that's not the case all the time. So I want to make it where if you come in to watch later on, you're not bored to tears. So
yep, I'm the same.
Somebody
mentioned that last night because I was just kind of talking to myself while I was sewing, and they're like, do you talk to yourself when you're not sewing? And I was like, no, I don't think, or when you're not on camera, when you're not recording. And I was like, no, I don't think I do.
Oh,
I mean, I occasionally mumble stuff. I'll occasionally say stuff, but I'm not like constant nonstop talking the way I do in a live because I don't want my video to just be silence where I'm just because there's no background. It would be different if we could stream music, you know what I mean, without getting copyright strikes or copyright notices and things. If you
There's a way to do that.
There is, but it does take a bit of work, and I just honestly I'm too lazy and I haven't done it. But if there was some way to just have like good, like soft elevator music in the background, not the same song on loop, right? Like to do that, it would take a bit of work, and I'm not above it. But I also just end up talking over top of myself all the time. So whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, because I think I'll get the name right in a minute. Danny from So Not an Expert does that. She listens to music while she's live, and then it's copyright free music, so she can play it on her live. So that way, because she said she does it, so that way her viewers know what she's jamming to.
That's cool. I like
But
that.
I don't know how she does it. I figure I'll just bring a friend on with me, so that way I don't have to worry about it. There's methods to my madness. I much prefer to have a live with someone else because I've done it by myself, but it's not my preference. And thankfully, I have plenty of friends that were more than willing to come on and hang out with me for a little while.
I had about a year or so ago, I tried a couple of live streams. They were kind of like a late night thing where I used Streamlabs's widget to play like ambient music in the background while I was on. That way I didn't feel like I had to talk the whole time, but it was there. I could answer questions and I could also listen to music. So it was more of like a low-key live rather than a live where I'm there to entertain you for 2 hours. And it went on for a while. But what I found, they said it was royalty-free music, so I should be okay. But that video, it actually ended up getting processed, and I couldn't monetize it because some of the songs that Streamlabs queued up, YouTube said was not, it was copyrighted.
Yeah, I ran into that too.
So I think when they say that, I've run into this a couple of times with some other things, right? Like the Streambot and some other things. I think some of the features that are in Streamlabs, when they advertise it as being a certain way, I think they're talking about for like Twitch and other platforms. I don't think it's always the case for YouTube. So I'm always a little weary about their widgets. So if I were to do music in the background, it would have to be me going into YouTube Studio, finding some royalty-free music, downloading it, and then importing it in a playlist that just plays very softly in the background. And I'm too lazy for all that, so I haven't done it.
That's what I do for my videos because, I ran into the same problem. It was copyright royalty-free, which basically means in the eyes of the, copyright laws is that you don't have to pay money to the artist, but you still have to be compliant with YouTube's policies. So like I got some copyright strikes, about 12 months ago. And so I just went on to YouTube Music, and made sure that everything's good. I download it, and that's what I use for my videos, to this day. And I've had no problems, it comes up doing that. And I think that's the safest way of doing it is just use the YouTube library where they say you can use it. And then that way, you're fine and dandy because
100%. I paid for a membership to Audio Sound or something so I could get these really cool songs and whatever. And even using those, YouTube was like, there's a copyright claim against this. And I was like, wait a minute, but I'm paying for the membership. Never mind. I'm only going to use YouTube Studio to source my music. Forget it.
Yeah. Did I do this backwards? I certainly did. Okay. Well, with that, I think I'm calling this done for the.
It's hard, Sean. It really is, right? Like, it's not easy to talk and keep up with all the different chat topics and have intelligent responses and read the chat and sew something that's intricate, especially these eye blocks, because laying out the fabric is key with this one. So listen, just take it easy.
I'm not worried about it. I mean, I make mistakes, and that's why you have Jack, Jack the Ripper, and you just make it work. But I will get this part done because I can do this one successfully. And that way I can show you the eyes together. And then, I think we'll wrap things up because it's getting close to 9:30 here in the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Crystal Hart has just joined you. She said good morning.
Good morning, Crystal. I love her channel. I was hanging. Yeah, you and her go live together at the same time. So I usually hang out with one of you for a little while and then go over and hang out with the others. So that way I get to see everybody at the same time. So, okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Ellen. It's always good to see you as well. All right. This thing's a hot mess. It's not perfect, but gives you an idea.
Oh, that looks cute.
So there you go.
I like it.
All right. So, and what I've done with this one, you can see that the lines here are horizontal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then on this one that I goofed up, you can see it's vertical. Yeah, so that's where I goofed up. So I'll just have to get old Jack out and rip this part out here, which won't take very long. It's like 3 inches, so it's not terrible. So there you go. Well, good morning, Patty C. It's good to see you here as well. But yeah, like you said, it's difficult. Like you've got to watch the orientation and everything else, and when you're trying to do four things at once on a live, it's invariably you got to mess something up, and especially they always say men can only do one thing at once. So the fact that I can talk and sew and watch most of the chat at once, I think I'm doing all right. So there you go.
Don't put yourself down. You're doing
I'm
great.
not. I mean, we keep it real here. Like I am not perfect. I do not claim to be. Mistakes will happen, and thankfully it's a small mistake. I'd rather make a small mistake like this where it's 3 inches to rip out than have to rip out like something that's like yay long. So it could be a whole lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have this thing ripped out in about a minute and a half, and then we'll be able to keep going. Okay, let's see. I just want to make sure I don't miss anything on the chat because I'm always missing stuff. They were talking about the pandas. The pandas are leaving the DC Zoo. But hopefully they'll come back at some point. And apparently, I think I saw somebody, the only place in the US that will still have them after that is Atlanta, which, like as Mary said, kind of a hike for some of us. I mean, Russ can probably go see him whenever he feels like it because he's in the Atlanta area. Although if you go to Atlanta at the wrong time of the day, it can take you a long time to get anywhere.
I don't understand why the pandas are leaving. Like, why are we not allowed to have them? Is it because they're endangered?
So basically, from what I understand, the lease is up because China owns the pandas and they lease them out to
their property. Like that's just okay. Sorry, I didn't even realize that they were like. I was just like, oh, we have pandas. I thought they were like pandas that never mind.
Yeah. I didn't know that either till I was leaving, but yeah, apparently they're on lease. They're owned by the Chinese government or they're owned by China somewhere. Whoever owns them leases the pandas out to different zoos around the world, and I think they're like about $1 million a piece a year.
Oh my
yeah. So the fact that the Smithsonian is able to offer free admission to see the pandas every year, like I didn't realize they were paying $1 million a pop for them. I just think that's an amazing thing. So.
Well, you better get to that zoo before October 1st because the zoo is going to be shut down.
No, I saw them in May, and I'm not joining them crowds right now. The boys want to see them. They can go on their own at some point in their own lives.
You can go see the pandas after the government opens back up in December.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's your education on the pandas. That's that's the short version. I mean, I'm sure there's more to it, but that's basically what it is there. So. Before we run off, Becca, do you want to tell us about any fun? I know you always have a bunch of cool projects going on. Do you want to tell us about anything that you have going on that you'd like the viewers to know about?
I'm working on pandas, a whole lot of them. A lot of them. A lot of them. So I really don't have a ton of things in the fire. I have for those of you that don't know, I have a 9-to-5 job that keeps me pretty busy. I may have some time off in the very near future. We'll see what happens in the next week. But if that's the case, maybe I have more bandwidth to do some things. But right now, what I've been focused on is just uploading videos on Tuesday, telling a story of something, whether it's a vlog or the story of something that's happened in my life, just kind of sharing a story with you on Tuesday. I do a Friday night live stream at 8 p.m. on my channel. And I do have a couple of collabs that I have agreed to and that I'm really nervous about. One of them is my good friend Tiffany and Ian. They have challenged us to do once every 4 months a live stream together.
That'd be fun.
No fuss. And one of us hosts, so it's like a rotating thing, and whoever hosts is responsible for challenging us with that project or that theme. And so this season, we did one about 6 months ago. We're doing another one actually a week from today, and it'll be on Ian's channel, and it's Halloween themed. And I'm not really big into the Halloween stuff, so I still don't know what I'm going to make, but it will be on his channel. And I think that's it for September. I've got some things coming up in October that will be exciting, but I think that's really it for September.
Nice. Yeah. And if you haven't checked out Becca's channel, which I know, probably 90% of you are, please go do it. I put the link in the description below. Go check her out. She has been instrumental to my success because, she was one of the people that was very generous and stepped up and said, hey, come check this, crazy guy out. Because when I started, I think I was the only gentleman in the chats for a lot of it. Now there's a lot more gentlemen in the chat, which I think is great. But yeah, I think I surprised everybody by kind of showing up and saying, hey, here I am. So, but you've been very supportive of me. You've done, a lot of mentoring for me. And I, just kind of tell you how much I'm thankful for that. And it's just neat.
Yeah, that I'm happy to help anybody I can, but I also know that between help doing the stuff that I do for YouTube and then my family and work and all of the things, I know I have a limited amount of time. So I unfortunately do have to be a little selective with what I'm doing and how often I'm doing it, but I'm more than happy to promote anybody. So you're welcome, and I would do it not to be like you're nothing special, Sean, because you're awesome, you're great, but I'm happy to do that for anyone. So
for sure, yeah, and I feel the same way. I try and help out as many as I can as well. So, but like you said, yeah, it's just a finite amount of time. So, but gee, there you go.
Dragonflies for Donna has a question, and this is something that we should talk about before we leave. She says, are you both going to continue sewing this pattern on your channels? I will be working on it a lot off camera. However, Sean, I think we should do another sewing session where we work on the pandas together. We can do it here if you'd like, or we can do it over on my channel. I don't know that a Friday night will work out because all of my Fridays for the next 6 weeks, I already have something planned, and you might already be done by then. So let's see if we can come up together with a time between the two of us that works out for both of us.
Okay.
Where I can have you on my channel and we can do the same thing where we just sit and chat, and maybe this time you'll get to focus more on your piecing instead of playing host.
No problem. Yeah, we'll talk about that off camera, but I think that'd be a lot of fun to do it again as well. So someone else asked earlier, are we using the fabric prescribed or suggested in the pattern? And to answer that question, I believe I am for the most part. I'm using the background that was suggested. I mentioned this a little earlier. This is like the Essex, forget what it's called.
Oh yeah, Essex linen.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So
I actually I bought this last year by accident. Because I thought I needed it for another project and I didn't see it was an either or thing. So I actually had 4.5 yards of this laying around that I hadn't had a use for. So when this pattern came along, I figured, okay, well, that's the background fabric sorted. I don't know what's it call for the black and the gray, because I can't see it right now.
So the dark solid is Essex yarn dyed charcoal.
Okay.
And the black solid is Kona black.
Okay, so the Kona black I'm using, and then I just use Kona pepper. So I'm using something similar. And then for the sweaters, I'm just pulling out a stash. This is the first one I'm going to use. And then that's the second one. And then I'm just going to go through my scrap bucket and pull out some more different. Amanda wants different colors. Like she doesn't want like 3 pinks and 3 purples. She'd like a variety of colors. So I might pick out something that's yellow, something that's blue, green, that sort of thing there. So yeah, I'm following a little bit. What about you?
So we are using the same coloring, which you can kind of see there. The only difference is the eyes, the pupils will be white. Here's an eyeball, so you can kind of see. And I'll actually put them down here so you can look. This is what the eyes would look like together. We're using Art Gallery fabric solids to build the panda in the background. It will be colored very similar to this in that we have like a beigey color for the background. So it'll look a lot like that. But for the sweaters for the pandas, Mary grabbed a fat quarter. Thank you, Patty. I sneezed. She caught it. For the panda sweaters, she pulled a beautiful batik fat quarter bundle that I had on my shelves. in a variety of different blues and purples. And I think, honestly, I know she wanted the quilt to be really big, but I think the reason why she decided to go with 20 pandas is because I think she wanted to use all of those fat quarters. I think she wanted all of the fabric in the quilt. So that's what we'll be using. I'm excited to get to that part. But before I get there, I got to work with all this. So art gallery solids and then a batik fat quarter bundle.
Very nice. Apparently Mary's saying that buttons will be sewn into the white pupils once it's quilted, so that'll be fun as well. Beth is here from Goody Goods.
Yep.
That's your long armor. She says that Becca's very generous supporting a friend. She makes a spot for everyone at the table, and that's admirable. And I totally agree with that. So thank you, Beth. That was very, very well worded. I think a lot of us admire you more than we let on sometimes. So it's good to let you know that sort of thing there as well. Let's see. Did we miss it? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else as well. If I missed something, I do apologize. It's hard to keep up. I don't know how you keep up with your chat on Friday night, because this is like slow.
But I don't, right? That's the thing is, I think everybody thinks that I keep up with everything that's going on in the chat. I don't. I can't. I do just like you're doing, Sean. I work on something and then I'll look up and I'll read a little bit of what I see on the screen. And if I have something to say about it, I'll talk about that and then I'll keep going. But there could be pages that go by and I miss it. And the trick that I have, if you want to know my trick.
I'm always good for tricks.
The trick that I have is I set my phone and my Mac on focus. So I have a focus setting for streaming. And during that time, no alerts can come through, no phone calls, no text messages, except for very specific people. Ian, Mary, my mom, I think Donna might be on that list. Jason, obviously, my husband, but that's like it. No other notification can come through. And Tiffany too. So between those like 5 or 6 people, they know that I'm streaming and they're not going to be bothering me during that window. But if something comes up in the chat that I need to have eyes on, or somebody asked me a question and I've just blown past it, they are really kind in taking that message and texting it to me, and that will pop up on my screen. And so I'll see it. And so sometimes like it might be a couple of pages have gone by and then I'll be like, oh yeah, Beth asked, and I'll give the answer. It's because I have amazing moderators who aren't moderating the chat. Their goal in the chat isn't to censor people or shut them down. Their goal is to make sure that if there are questions, those questions are getting to the person that can answer it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And that's how I keep up. I have help.
And it's nice to know that I'm not inadequate because I can't keep up, because I thought you did. So that's good.
You find your trusted person or people and you give them a means to be able to reach you while you are on live stream, so that if you miss something, it can come through.
Excellent. I'll have to do that. That sounds really good. But yeah, I mean, this is awesome. We've had 120 people on today, which I think it may have smashed the record. Like the last time I had over 100 on at once was during my quilt trunk show that I did last year. I haven't had 100 on since. Usually we have between 70 and 80, which for a Saturday morning is fantastic.
It is.
So thank you all for hanging out with us. And Chloe says she's doing rainbow sweaters. I'm kind of doing the same thing. We're just got to have all different colors. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. But yeah, check out Becca's progress on her channel. She'll show progress as time goes on. I will do it on mine on my Sunday morning. So hopefully I'll be able to get some more done during the day. Yeah, that sort of thing there as well. Dragonflies for Donna is asking, what is in the tank behind me? That is Miss Rowena. She is our turtle. She's been with us for, I think we talked about this last night, like 5 years I've had her here. She was originally a classroom turtle in my wife's classroom. She came home one summer, because she couldn't live at school and not get fed for a whole summer. That would be a bit cruel. And I just decided that she needed to be a home turtle, and she has been with us ever since. So with that being said, it's almost 10 o'clock. Good gravy. We've been chatting for a long time.
We could keep going. We'd have the whole quilt done if we just kept going. Well, you might have 2 eyes done.
Yeah, actually I do. I actually did get to rip out the part that I messed up.
Oh, you got 2 sets. Awesome.
Yeah, so I got 2 sets. So now I get to move on to making the nose. and that sort of thing there. So yeah, definitely come back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, unless I lose power, and then, you know, it might be late, but so far so good. Come back and we'll have some progress done. I want to get some more progress done on this today. I also want to get some more progress done on Miss Alice. So come back tomorrow and see what else I got up. And I got some other stuff that I'm not going to show you right now. I'm not going to give away my whole podcast, otherwise there'll be no point coming back. So go check out Becca's channel. Always a lot of fun. She always has fun stuff going on. Check out all my friends. Donnell's going to go live at noon today. Mom and Pop Laura Lynn, she's always a hoot. Go check out her live this afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then all of my other friends, go see all their fun stuff. It's always a lot of fun to see. Donnell's going live at 1 today. So you can go check out Laura Lynn and Donnell all at the same time. You can bounce back and forth if you want. So there you go. Definitely hit the like button if you enjoyed it today. And if you are watching the replay, I'd love it just if you said hi, just so we know who was hopped in today as well. But thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. It was a lot of fun. Do you have any final words before we run off?
Yeah, I want to show a little gift that I got from Laura Lynn. Can I?
Okay.
Can I gift?
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
So she made me this.
Fun.
Can you see it? Is it in the? I can't see it. So she made me this little quilt that I have hanging up in my room. And the center of it is a cross stitch with Oscar the Grouch, because Oscar the Grouch is actually my favorite Sesame Street character. And it says, if you didn't bring chocolate or fabric, Oscar the Grouch is holding a sign that says, go away. So I love it. I just wanted to show that because I wasn't expecting anything from her. And I didn't show it off on my channel. And I thought since she was here, I could just say thank you kind of in person and show everybody what she made for me. And I'm going to go hang it back up on my wall.
Okay, so I failed it the last time I come to visit you. I didn't bring you chocolate or fabric. So I'll have to keep that in mind for next time. But the other thing you can add to that list is cool pens.
Oh, see, you did bring me cool pens.
Oh, I didn't. That was my wife. I can't take credit for that.
I'm using them. I don't care. In fact, I got them right there. I am a pen snob, and she uses the same ones that I love. So it was great. Yeah,
that was fun. When we went up to visit Becca a month ago, we actually stopped by for a couple of hours before we picked up Simon. They started talking about pens, and Amanda's like, here, this is ones I use. And yeah, Amanda gave her a couple of the different colors she likes. So that was fun. So yeah, fabric, pens, or chocolate apparently is what you need to take Becca if you go see us. So with that being said, thank you for showing us that. That was really neat to see. And I love that cross stitch. It looks really, really neat. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Go check out all my friends that are going live later on. If you have any questions, always reach out, say hi in the comments, and hit that like button if you enjoyed it, because it does help us out immensely. And we will see you all on the next video tomorrow for me, and Becca will be up fairly soon. So thank you all. Have a great day and happy sewing, and stay dry.
Stay dry.
All right.